interesting outfit.
Oh no, I'm the worst girlfriend. I didn't make you any lunch yesterday. And then I remembered that you did.
Oh, she did make me lunch. Luna. Woo!
You left the extreme head in here.
Ella's car always has a load of rackets in there. So I'm currently staying at my girlfriend's house in Lincoln. Normally I live in Sheffield with my parents, but I can't stay there at the moment. And as my coach is in Sheffield, he knows me, knows my game. I'm having to travel there every day, which takes about an hour and a half. I'm used to traveling, it's not really an issue. So it's day one of pre-season. I've got 2 weeks until my next competition, which is County Cup, and 6 weeks until my first tournament. So I've got a lot of time to prepare, change things up, and get myself ready. And this is what it looks like. Having woken up at 6:30, I was now at the tennis at 9:40. So I had 20 minutes before I got on court, so it was the perfect time to do a warm-up, some mobility. Feels like the older I get, the more of this sort of stuff that I'm having to do. I definitely underestimated how cold it was going to be in here. Only one layer. It's November and it's England, which means one thing, it's going to be Baltic. Definitely not the coldest I've played in, but still pretty difficult. But I guess the tougher the better. Typically pre-season is about working hard physically, getting stronger, fitter, preparing your body for the next year of competition. And also time to make adjustments to your game, work on something new. Given my situation and having such a long time to do a pre-season, I decided for the first 2 weeks that I was just purely going to focus on the tennis, getting as much volume as possible, making sure that there was as much work on my game done as possible. And then once I was in a good position with that, then I would focus on getting fitter, getting stronger. But the thing that I didn't want to happen was working so hard in the gym or running and then getting onto court the next day and just not being able to focus on the tennis. And because I've got so long to train, I've also decided to switch rackets. So I used to use the Pro Staff 97 RF, and I've been trying out the Head Extreme 98, the Nordic Dots Model 99, the Aero 98, and the Blade 98. Don't get me wrong, I love the Pro Staff, but I just feel like it's slightly outdated now. And since they're not really making the RF anymore, they're really hard to get hold of, and I just thought, for those reasons combined, it's just going to be easier to find a better racket to play with that's going to suit the modern game a little bit more, and in the future give my game a little bit more longevity. So this is what my sessions look like. You've all probably seen a tennis warm-up before, up and down the middle, cross courts, volleys, nothing really that new. But then, after about 20 minutes, we'll start to get into tempo hitting. So we'll go one person behind the baseline, one person inside the baseline, both players inside the baseline, that type of thing. Just getting you used to taking the ball early, taking the ball on. But here, even when I'm just hitting in the cross, I'm aiming for depth first, so I'm going through the court, and then if I get a slightly shorter ball, then I'll aim for a bit more width. But I'm not looking for crazy angles. I'm almost trying to go through the corner of the singles court or even the doubles court, just so the angles can't be used against me. So this is just a little bit of the tempo hitting. Again, it's nothing really exciting. It just helps you to get used to being inside the court, taking the ball on. Ever since I started doing it about 3 years ago, it's made a big impact to how comfortable I am taking the ball on. And then we'll move on to a bit of 2 versus 1, going into some open movement. Their goal is to move me as much as possible, make it as difficult as they can. And my goal is basically just to make sensible decisions on the run. So a lot of going back cross court, a lot of trying to find depth, not necessarily hitting the ball hard, giving myself time to recover when I'm out of position. I feel like these sorts of drills are great. Firstly, because they're hard, and they also get you used to fighting in matches. They help you just to reinstall that mindset of chasing every ball down, not giving up. I mean, even if the ball goes into the doubles tram line, if it goes out, I'll still chase it down. And my coach is really good for drills like this. He'll put a physical drill in there, and then a cone drill or a recovery drill, just something to keep you ticking over, and then going straight back into 2 minutes of being moved, not just side to side, but anywhere. These drills are just really good for getting volume in the legs. And then with the little added footwork drills on the side, it ends up being really good fitness and helps to really improve your movement pretty quickly, actually. Like at the moment, I'm really working on making my movement smoother and more efficient, not just quicker. So my movement out to the forehand side needs a little bit of work, just making that movement really smooth. So having spent about half an hour working on movement side to side, almost slightly defensive, it was now time to work on the movement forwards up the court. So really simple drill, the two hit between the cones and I can move the ball wherever I want around the court. But the goal is to just take the ball as early as possible, trying to always be on the front foot. And you can see I'm really trying to push my body through the court, not taking huge swings. The closer to the baseline that I get, the further in the court, the more shallow I'm trying to keep my backswing, especially when the ball's coming fast. This just ensures a really good timing, consistent timing, and just gives me a little bit more control. Because the ball's coming in so fast, I don't really need to swing too much. I can almost just use their pace and redirect it. So, as you may already know, I've been using the ProStaff 97 RF for about 3 years now, and I've decided to change. Going into 2025, I will be using a new racket. During the first day, I decided that I was going to try the Head Extreme Pro 98 for the whole day. I added a leather grip and about 15 grams of lead to the head, taking the total weight of the racket all in, strings, grip, everything to 350 grams, which is about 20 grams lighter than what the ProStaff was. And I was actually really enjoying playing with this racket. Just so maneuverable, really easy to generate spin, massive sweet spot, feels really comfortable on my arm. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying this frame out more. I do think it is a fantastic racket and, in my opinion, a modern classic. So with about 15 minutes of the session left, we moved on to volleys. Again, 2v1. When I'm stood this deep in the court, my goal is just to push the first volley deep and then move in and look for an angled cutaway. For some reason, I was actually really struggling with my volleys. I don't know if it was the racket or not practiced them for that long in a while, but it's definitely something that I'm going to work on more in the pre-season moving forward. In pre-season, nutrition is pretty essential. That's why I get Ella to make me all the meals. And of course, I have a black coffee. So the first session of the day was purely drilling. Second session is in the afternoon, about 2 hours long, and it's all about playing points. To be honest, it's been quite a while since I've trained like this. Normally in London, I just do one long session for an hour and a half or 2 hours. And I'm not going to lie, I was starting to feel it a little bit. I felt like in the practice I was hitting the ball great, but playing points is different. Points for me rely on knowing your patterns inside out and being disciplined, sticking to them, and also just playing with really good margin. For me, I'm almost at my best when I don't think too much about it. Play with high tempo, really good margin, and because I have quite a high natural ball pace, I'm able to put pressure on my opponent without necessarily doing that much. So the key for me is not forcing it and letting it happen naturally. Which is hard because there's always the temptation to try harder, force it, For me, it's just reminding myself that tennis is meant to be easy, relaxing is the best way, not trying too hard physically is the key. So I remember early in the video talking about experimenting with my game, and before coming into this pre-season, I'm not very well known for coming to the net or moving forward that often, and it's something that I really want to add in. So I'll be trying quite a lot of serve and volley. I feel like I've got a big serve, and I feel like I should definitely utilise it more and definitely stick my volleys. Off the ground, I felt great. I was really starting to feel confident with the Head Extreme as well. It was so easy to play with off the ground. It's a racket that has actually really surprised me. So that was training for the day done. Time to head home. So it's time to smash as much chicken and rice as possible and then get an early night and recover for another day of training.